So we think if I spend enough money, she's going to think it's romantic. But what women tend to see as romantic is when we make connections into their life.
Welcome to the Huddle, where the guys of A Better Us get together and we do our thing. The girls did their thing. They call it Just Us Girls. So we thought we got to do this too. So we have Eric Maines, we got Dan McCauley, we got Mike Pinball Clemens, and we got Bill Farrel, our relationship expert.
Mr. Expert.
And Bill's gonna help us with some things here. But just to let you know where we are, if you haven't seen the Huddle yet, we are at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. And it's a great place. It's a little quieter than when there's a football game going on.
Just a few less people.
But also housed here is the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, where there's lots of memorabilia. It's kind of a museum thing. And then there's a bunch of these bronze heads all in a row, and one of these guys, pinball. We could just bring yours and just set it right here. We could have an extra person in the huddle.
Actually, I could take it home, right? Because then I can show my wife how good I used to be.
Yeah. So this is great. So the huddle, the idea of that, when you're playing football, you've been in a lot of huddles yourself, pinball, over the years. But the guys, we've got to strategize, and how are we going to make some yardage here, move down the field, make progress? And so in our marriages, we all want to be a better us. We all want to make progress and march down the field, so to speak, and get better. And so we got to get our heads together, and we're letting the ladies listen in on the huddle, which doesn't usually happen.
It's nice to have a coach in the huddle. Out on the field, right? You don't necessarily have that coach in the huddle, but to have Bill here have that coach in the huddle is a real bonus today.
So today we're talking romance. Now all of us like to think that we're way up here. We got this thing covered.
All five of us are experts in this.
We know what's going on.
Let's just cut to the next topic. We're good.
But our wives might not have the same opinion. So Bill, you can start the kickoff here for this game, and we'll see how do we unpack this sometimes mysterious thing called romance.
Well, it's an interesting question because I'm not aware of any verse in the Bible that tells us we should romance our wives. And so it's easy to think. See, it's easy to think it's just kind of a Western thing, and we can kind of put it aside. There is, however, a verse that it's in Hebrews chapter 3, verse 13. It says, "Encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you will be hardened by sin's deceitfulness." And this idea of encouragement, if we grasp what it really means, two things happen that help our marriage. One is the hearts of everybody we love soften. And how many of you know that when your wife's heart is soft towards you, it's a lot easier? If her heart gets hardened towards you, it's a tough journey.
Amen.
And the other thing that happens is the people you care about absorb what's true. And if in your home you have an environment where your hearts are soft and you can absorb what's true, your relationship's going to flourish. And one of the best ways we can do that with our wives is to romance them. Because what romance says is you're worth it. You're worth the time, you're worth the planning, you're worth the effort, you're worth whatever money it costs. And when you get that message across to your wife, you are worth it. It softens her heart, it opens both of you up to what's true, and it helps your marriage flourish. But as guys, again, we tend to think of it as transactional. So we think if I spend enough money, she's going to think it's romantic. But what women tend to see as romantic is when we make connections into their life. So anytime you interrupt them for no reason in a soft way, that's why flowers work. Because you interrupted her day in a soft way, and she goes, "Oh, he was thinking about me." When you call her or send her a message for no reason, because we get used to this guy has to get done, that has to get done, where are we going here, and it becomes all business. But when you say, I was just sitting here thinking about you, go for it, go, Michael.
Do it quick.
And you just literally say, I was just thinking, I'm a very privileged man to be married to you, and you just leave it at that. It connects into her heart. And when you remember things that are important to her, if you remember important days, you remember important places, she gets this sense that he's connected to me. And I've discovered almost anything can turn romantic. Like we asked one lady, what's the most romantic thing your husband's ever done? And she said, well, early on in our marriage, he went through our neighbor's yard and picked flowers, wrapped them together in a bouquet with duct tape. And I was like, what? Like stolen flowers and duct tape? Really?
It's effective, I guess.
And she said that was the first thing he did all on his own to express his love to me, because he's a duct tape kind of guy.
Okay.
And it started a progression in our marriage where he's kept doing things like that. So for them, it's all about us connecting to them, not necessarily going over the top unless we can. It's us getting the message across, you matter to me and you're valuable. And when that happens, our wife's hearts soften toward us, and the truth flourishes in our home, and marriage works.
Sometimes we think it's got to be the go big or go home. You get on a field
Or go big and go
you're
home.
out on a jumbotron saying you get flashed across the middle of a game, honey, I love you, or something. You got to go big. But a lot of times, as you say, it's just the little things that are saying, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah. And I'll just be honest with you guys. The thing that I got the most romance points for wouldn't even be really considered romantic if you were writing a script for a book or a novel. Yeah, I've told you before, my wife's really creative. Yeah. And because of that, the gas gauge in her car, she tends to see as advisory, not authoritative. And she ran out of gas one day, and she called me. She said, Bill, I have an appointment 2 blocks up the street. Can you come rescue me? So I thought, okay, I'll do the big heroic thing. So I was going to run by the house, get a little gas can, get gas in the car, put a little bit of gas in her car, take it to the gas station, fill it up, drop her car off, go back to my car, be her big hero for the day. Well, I get to where the car is gone. And I realized this car can't be stolen because it's out of gas. So I called our sheriff department. The car's been impounded and it's on its way to the impound lot. So I have to go up the street and tell Pam, your car's been impounded. We got to go. Let's move. And so we get in the car and she starts criticizing herself. She says, I can't believe I did this. I'm so stupid. I'm so blonde. I just can't. I do this all the time. And this thought crossed my mind that I knew God was kind of coaching me along. And he said, Bill, just say this. So I said to her, Pam, if this is all it costs me to be married to you, it's well worth it. Now, little did I know that went straight to her heart, and she was like, I guess one of the best weeks we've had in our marriage. And she keeps quoting it. And it's only because it was a connection into her life. And so it doesn't always have to be spectacular. Yeah. It just has to be our determination that we're going to make sure they know they're valuable. And it'd be interesting to have you guys share, because there's two ways to be romantic. One is habits, like things you do over and over and over again, and then events. Right. Things that you do once a year or once in a lifetime. So are there any habits you guys have that keep expressing love to your wife? And you have any great stories about that idea that just really worked that other guys might want to hear about?
Well, when it comes to habits, and Kara tells me that she appreciates these things. I do little things like helping with the dishes and making breakfast, and you know what? Let me let the dogs out. You're on the couch type thing. But when it comes to like events and big romantic gestures, I have been lacking, and she let me know this recently because we were tasked by a friend to help him do a big romantic thing for his wife, and we went to a corn maze and we found a nice little open area. He had already printed off pictures of them and different stages of their relationship, so we taped those pictures to corn things, and then he wanted to get her a better wedding band, so he did eventually. After all these years, he bought her a nice wedding band, and he had it in we placed it in the corn, and it was this big romantic cheesy thing. And then we hid and we took pictures as they came through, and she was crying and everything. All of that being done, Karen and I are back in the car about to go home. And I'm already sweating because I know what's coming. And so I'm just driving. I'm just like, okay, yeah, let's just going home now. That was nice of him to do, wasn't it? I can feel her eyes right on me. And then the words come, just, so why don't you do things like that for me? And I'm just like, okay, I should be, because you are worth it. And I'm sorry that I haven't been, but that's an area that, like, she's definitely worth it. And I want to do that for her. And, I've been lacking that. And so
I would just say a clue for some of you, if you want to know what you can do for your wife, ask her friends, because I guarantee they know. Excellent. Just like you were able to help your friends.
That's right. Hey?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Well, you've asked a question. There's a lot of bad stuff that I do, but I'm pretty good at the big events thing. So, we have a friend who often recounts one of the stories when I had gifts hid all around the house, and she lives in California. So every time we go there, she talks about that. For one of her special birthdays, I had all the things she loves, right? And so we had a musician who came and performed. That was a great friend of ours. We did a fashion show, all these different things, and so I hope Peter doesn't get upset with me, but I couldn't understand why why would you spend this much money on a coat, right? I couldn't, and so I was talking to my EA. I said, this just doesn't make sense, right? But it was a very special landmark thing, and she wanted it, and so I bought it. The last model came out in this special coat, right? And we also did 20 days in Europe for our 20th anniversary. Nice. We had for another special birthday, we had Brian McKnight come and sing, and first she got surprised by all her brothers and sisters showed up the day before, and then we had this event and this party, and then this guy who she really her favorite singer we had come and perform. So we have so not so good at some other things, but the big events I'm okay at. Yes.
I just hope Kara's not listening to you. Yes. I'll be in the car again. She's like, Pinball was telling them stories about. Yes, dear, I do remember that. All right,
I would say I've typically done better at the big events thing too, and sometimes forget the little things along the way. Like I can go back and recount a lot of big things because I had to pursue my wife, as guys tend to like to do, and so I had to woo her with lots of things and lots of just shows of affection and big events or whatever, all of it. And I would have to say this is calling awake to me that I need to make sure that I'm stepping up my game in the day-to-day kind of stuff, because I maybe let my foot off the gas pedal a little bit in some of those things. But I would definitely I would still do big events, but I think I could definitely step it up in the day-to-day stuff. Yeah.
And I think some of the smaller things are the things that she's remembered most. Like when we were in university, I would write a continuing letter. So she would receive one each day, right? Yeah. And so the letter would unfold. So you send 5 letters out, put one next one. Yeah. And so those kinds of little things that didn't cost nearly as much.
Well, one of the things we have in our relationship that costs nothing, but if I ever don't do it, it will cost everything, is my wife and I pray every time we eat together, and I kiss her after we pray. And I guarantee you, if I forget to kiss her, yes. I will hear about it. I'll have that conversation you've had with Karen. So it's just a simple thing, but it keeps us connected and keeps letting her know that I go out of my way to kiss you, or I'll kiss you right next to me if you're there.
Keeping the fires burning, and it's helping our wives with the greatest need they have of security, because doing something where you're thinking about them, and even big or small, that says, yeah, he really cares about me. He would marry me all over again. This is the trust level keeps above the line, and so it's a challenge for us to keep on top of mind, because you get distracted, so many things happening.
But membership has its privileges.
Yeah. There you go. Good way to end this segment. And so this has been a good huddle, guys. So thanks for tuning in. And so we've been breaking these huddles lately with going ready, break. Okay. See ya.